Welcome to Redeeming the Time with Carol Marie. Redeeming the Time is a series of purpose-filled insights for you to redeem God's time with fresh revelation from the Lord. Stay tuned for today's message.
So we've been talking about what is love and what does love look like. So this is lesson 13B. It's kind of like the second part of the first one of what we talked about, the weapon of love. And what I want you to look at is a familiar story that we all know. We've heard about the Good Samaritan. So let's look at that quickly and just let's see how this took place. It's taken from Luke 10, 25 to 37. And a certain lawyer, now the translation, our translators say lawyer. Really, he was the master of the law. He was the master of the Torah, you guys. Mm-hmm. See, he wasn't a lawyer going to court, no. See, we get we'll get a Western mentality on this one. He was a master of the Torah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay. So he comes to Jesus trying to trick him, test him. And he says, "Teacher, who am I? What am I to do to inherit everlasting life? To partake of eternal salvation in the Messiah's kingdom." Jesus is so cool. Of course, the whole Hebraic mindset, you answer a question with a question, And it was almost like watching a ping pong match. They'd throw a question out and then they'd answer with a question. And they would marvel at the way Jesus would handle stuff. So Jesus turns back to him and he says, "Well, what's written in the law?" See, he's a master of the Torah. What's written in the Torah is what he's saying.
Wow.
Okay? How do you read it? See, he's trying to trick Jesus, catch him saying something wrong. He said, "No, how do you read it? You're a master of the Torah. How do you read it?"
That's good.
Oh, I like that. Okay. And he replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." Okay. So haven't we just learned that about what is love? We're to love is a commandment to love. Okay, and it started out in the Old Testament, in the Torah. Okay, and Jesus said to him, "You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live, enjoy active, blessed, endless life in the kingdom of God." So, he says, "Yeah, you've answered correctly." I mean, the guy is going, "This isn't going the way I thought it was going to go." Wait a minute.
That's right.
So, determined to acquit himself of reproach, he says to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Okay, let's see how you answer this one. And Jesus, taking him up on this challenge, replied, "A certain man was going from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he fell among robbers who stripped him of his clothes and belongings and beat him, and then they went their way, unconcernedly, leaving him half dead as it happened. Now, by coincidence, a certain priest was going down along the road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. A Levite likewise came down to the place and saw him and passed on to the other side of the road." Now, let me just stop you a minute. Part of the commandments in the Torah was to care for the stranger, which would have included the Samaritan. Even though the Jews didn't like the Samaritans, that's still considered a stranger, right?
Right.
So it was part of the command. And those that should have known the Torah should have done it. But they passed over on the other side. Okay? But a certain Samaritan, as he traveled along, came down to where he was. And when he saw him, he was moved with pity and sympathy for him. The true word is he moved with compassion. That word compassion means that gut level where you almost feel sick at your stomach. Have you ever seen an accident or something that is so much and you're moved? Okay, he's moved with compassion. Okay, for the man that was hurt, and went to him, dressed his wounds, pouring on them oil and wine. Then he set him on his own beast, which means he probably was walking, right? And brought him to the inn and took care of him. And the next day he took out 2 denarii, 2 days' wages. How would you like that? This is a stranger. Take out 2 days' wages and gave them to the innkeeper, saying, take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I myself will repay you when I return. Now, Jesus says, which of the 3 do you think proved himself a neighbor to the one who fell among the robbers? See, he came back with a question again. So the man answered, the one who showed pity and mercy to him. And Jesus said, to him, go and do likewise. Ooh. Now the question, though, remember he says, how do I enter into everlasting life? And then Jesus says, well, what's written in the Torah? And he says, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart and your neighbor as yourself. So now we're back to this love issue, isn't it? Now we're finding out we enter into everlasting life. We enter into life when we love. Right. Okay? And then he gives an example of how love takes place. Okay? So when we learn from this, so what would hinder us? Let's look at it in the natural. Okay? We're walking by, we look over, and we see somebody hurting. What would hinder you from helping them? What's the number one thing you think?
Fear.
Fear. Yeah, you're thinking, well, I don't know who that is, or what if they come and get me? People that don't want to get involved, usually it's because of fear, isn't it? Okay? All right, what about time? I remember this really happened, you guys. This couple, I know them. They were in charge of the hospitality to make people feel welcome at the church. I'm sorry I'm giggling, but anyway, this gal that I knew, she is like 2 blocks, maybe 2 or 3 blocks from the church. And her car runs out of gas. So she notices a gas station down there, so she decides she's going to walk to the gas station. Well, this couple sees her walking. They pull over and they go, are you okay? And she said, oh, I ran out of gas, but I was going to go up here to this gas station. And they said, oh, okay, we just want to make sure you're okay, and off they went. And she's going,
Missed it.
now, I know the couple, and they're ones that take their responsibility very seriously. Okay, so now put yourself in the couple's shoes. You've been asked to take care of the booth and to take care of making sure all the worker bees are all in place. And you're needing to get there. Okay, yeah, you can see the gas station. All right, I don't have time to get you to the church. And somebody that wasn't even saved ended up coming over and helping her. Now that shouldn't be, you guys. Okay? So time, many times, it isn't that they didn't care. You see the gas station's right there, okay. And they're being torn. Oh, I've got something to take care of here. Time, sometimes we think, oh, I wish I had time. I don't have time. I've got a meeting to go to learn about love. Okay.
Lord.
What's another one? Expense. We talked about that. We said, okay, if I give to you, then maybe I don't have enough for me. Or maybe I don't have. You don't make your decision out of your soul, you guys. You make it out of your spirit, and you let God lead you. So money, time, none of that should be the issue. Is what, Holy Spirit, what do you want me to do? Now we need to be wise. We don't go running down the homeless person and trying to give him money. No, because we have to be wise. Sometimes they see you pulling money out. I was in India with a lady that has a benevolent heart, and the beggars were tapping at the window, and we were going down the street. She's opening up her wallet, and I'm going, no, no. You know, that's how you get mobbed and trampled on. You deal with, you know, the church that we were dealing with. They had systems in place, and they took care of the poor. But so we need to be wise, but we don't make our decision because we don't have the time, or we're afraid, or whatever. We need to be wise. You follow me? Okay. So how would we want to be taken care of? Think about that. How would you want to be taken care of?
Right.
Amen. Let's praise Him. Okay. So now we're looking at the Good Samaritan. And we found out that what happened was the man was hurt because the robbers had come and beat him, took his clothes, took his belongings, right? And left him for dead, really. Abandoned him. All right? So now let's take this and shift it a little bit and think about in your life, okay? So who is the robber? John 10:10.
Satan.
Satan. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. All right. So the man was beaten, okay, and he was robbed. Okay. So let's think of some of the things that maybe you have experienced, or people that you've prayed with have experienced, that you've been robbed of. You know, maybe a job that belonged to you, or you should have gotten a promotion, or your dignity. Maybe there was slander spoken against you. Huh? See, think of things that could be robbed. Okay, Tammy, you're going to throw this wet blanket on her that is something that would have robbed her. Okay, so think of something. What could it be? You guys help her.
My husband died.
My husband died.
Okay, so there's a weight on her. Okay, she feels abandoned because her husband died and she's alone. Okay, what else could be a weight?
Time. People have taken advantage of her time.
Yeah. Okay. So it's So now she's So she feels alone, and then she has a lot of expectations on her. Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Is there something financial?
I was thinking about economy and relation.
Huh?
I was thinking relationship or financially.
Okay, yeah. So she's been robbed of relationships. She's been robbed of finances. All of a sudden, if she doesn't have a husband, maybe she was dependent upon his income. And you can tell by looking at her that she's too young to get Social Security. So so she's in that in-between place where she doesn't have money coming in. He was the sole provider, right? Here's all this weight. What's some of the other stuff? Shame and guilt. Maybe somebody told her that it was your fault. You should have got him to the hospital sooner. Oh my gosh, I'm going to slap people when they do something. Yeah, so maybe she's agreed with some lies. Yeah. Think of some of the lies that maybe you've agreed with. So she was stripped of the man was stripped of his clothing. Those are your garments. That's your covering, right?
Yes.
He was stripped of his coverings. So, do you know 75% of all women that are widowed by death of their spouse, not even counting divorce or abandonment, 75% immediately their friendships change.
Yeah.
Immediately. And they can be sitting in the choir singing, and then the next week or so, then they're in the front row of the church. Nobody's even noticed. Then pretty soon they're in the back row of the church, and then they're not even coming to church, and nobody even notices. The widow feels like she's invisible. I think that's why, the widow was at the city's gates. Starley brought that up. That it was like God uses us like a secret weapon. We're at the city's gates. We are gatekeepers, and they don't even notice us because they think we're invisible. Unless you're a talker like me, then I make sure you notice me. Okay, so here is all of this. And now, here comes the Good Samaritan. Yeah, yeah. The Good Samaritan. Okay, so you can be a Good Samaritan, the first one. Okay, so you're going to take off some of those lies. What would you tell her? Any of the things. What?
Right. That she's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
That she's gonna find a way.
Yeah, you're gonna. And she starts speaking hope into her life.
Yes.
Okay, and that's binding up the brokenhearted. Okay, here comes another Good Samaritan. Woohoo! Okay, and you're gonna lift off another lie.
Because nothing you've done for God will be wasted. Nothing. But you have to take care of yourself too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, Debbie, you be another Good Samaritan. So, let's build some new relationships or something.
Yes, you are loved.
Yeah.
Honored and respected and
There you go. All right, so we had the Good Samaritans, but what he did was first he traveled and he found where she was. You know, where the man was in the story. Okay. And then he bound up the wounds. He poured on the oil and the wine.
He saw where nobody
He
else
saw. Yeah. He let him see. He let himself be moved with compassion. See, you can shut that down.
Right.
Nope, I don't have time. Nope, I've got to be a Sunday school teacher right now. You know. No, he let him see. He moved over there, put him on his own vehicle,
Right.
his moped with ears, okay, and walked him there. Took his own money, right? Took his own money. So that's how you bind up the brokenhearted, you guys.
Right.
You know, what is it? You need 12 hugs a day to be healthy. So I just hug on people till they hug me back.
Really
I'm
amazing.
building my immune system up. You know? So you love people, you speak into their life. You know, just saying something to a person that you care enough to even speak to them is a form of kindness. You know, indifference is one of the worst avenues of rejection there is. Indifferent.
Right.
Just being indifferent. Looking right through you. But caring, talking to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give our little, yeah. I remember one of the examples that sticks in my mind the greatest about showing love. And it was a lady that I knew, and her name was Dolly. And she went to the church that I went to. And she had two little boys at that time, and later had another little boy. And but they were just a little bit older than Starley. Starley was a baby, and I remember I got the flu so bad one time, you know, where you just can't even move, you can't do anything, you know. And Sonny was one of these husbands that he made a commitment to be at work, and by golly, he's going to be at work. He never thought about taking the day off to take care of me. It was like, oh no, they're counting on me, you know. Okay, see you later, honey. And turning green, you know. So I remember Dolly called me up, and she said, how you doing? I just felt led to call you. And I said, I'm sick. And Starley was crying and needed changed. And do you know, Dolly called in work, took a partial day off, took her kids to the babysitter, came over to my house, not only took care of Starley, took care of me, cleaned my house, though that was a major thing at that time, fixed dinner. I mean, I remember laying there thinking, this is what love is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, David said, if it doesn't cost me anything, it's not a sacrifice unto the Lord. I want to challenge you. What does love look like? You know? if it fits in our schedule, if it fits in our budget, if it fits in our day, on our list of to-dos, how about let's get outside the box? And I'm talking to me because I'm one that's got more on my list than what I have time for. But take time for the one. Take time for the one. Heidi Baker, here would be I remember one time I was with her and there was, 4,000 to 8,000 people. And she eyes the one. She's supposed to be speaking to all that. She eyes the one. God points out the one. She picks up this little girl that's deaf. And she brings her up and she holds her for a while, just soaks her in the love of God. And then she turns to me and she says, Carol Marie, soak her. Soak her. And I knew what that meant. That meant just pull on the glory and release the glory on her. So I just held her and soaked her and loved her, soaked her. And God opened up those ears.
Wow.
Are you able to stop for the one? In a couple of years I'll be 70 and I'm thinking, how come it's taken me so long to learn these lessons? It's finally like I'm at this place in my life that I don't care. It's like, my kids used to roll their eyes. I can't imagine why, but they used to roll their eyes at me, and when I do things impromptu and to love on people or whatever, but you know what? Isn't it freeing sometimes, you guys, where you get old enough where you just, I'm just going to love on them anyway, You may not appreciate it, and you may think it's, I'm just showing off, but that isn't my heart. I'm just going to love on that person anyway. I remember I was talking to this man in the parking lot in the older part of town, and my granddaughter was with me, and I was just loving on this gentleman and sharing the Lord with him. And he reached over and gave me a hug. And so we got in the store. And Angelica looked over at me and she goes, Mimi, you've got bum slobber on your cheek. She wasn't trying to be mean, it was just she was trying to describe it, But she says, you got bum slobber on your cheek. Love is okay. We go, Kathy Skiles and I, and Diane Purtis and different ones, we've gone into India. I'm telling you, those with leprosy, and they've got their fingers off, but they've lost their fingers, a lot of times their feet. And they're praising God with their little stubs, you guys. Mm-hmm. Praising God with their little stubs, so happy. Some of them can't even get up, and they're dancing, sitting down, And then we hand out the food, the bags of food to them. And I just hold them and love them. I give them squeakle kisses on their cheek. I don't care. I just love them. And they're so surprised that I even take time for them. That's one of my highlights of the whole trip. Just loving them. What would Jesus do? What if that was you and you'd lost your fingers and you're sitting there and nobody wants to pay attention to you or even look at you? And if you're a widow in India, if you are looked on first thing in the morning, they say you're going to have a bad day the whole day just because you're a widow. And they looked at you. And they blame you for the death of your husband, no matter how he died. And so we love on these widows, and we hold them. And they'll be starving, and they'll get out of line for food when they're needing it, and they'll get out of line to come and get a hug. There's people that are just needing a kind word.
Yeah.
In the store, wherever we're at. Just being kind. Let somebody go before you. Instead of trying to rush in, and I was here first, and all that. How can I help you? It's time to love, and the way things are happening, you guys, things are accelerating. And when people are fearful, they get cranky, yes. They get angry, they get forceful, because they're afraid. There'll be hopelessness in the air. But we carry hope. We carry the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the one that all hope comes from. And nothing is too big for him. And love never, ever fails.
Never.
It never fails.
Never.
It's always all right to love. Always. Always. You know, when I owned day spas, I would just build relationship with people. You know, I wasn't trying to make a sale. I just built relationship. I talk about, ask them about their kids and their grandkids and their, compliment them on their outfit and how pretty they looked or whatever. I just built relationship. The sales just automatically came.
Mm-hmm.
Because love was my purpose. Yeah. So if you're in business, I challenge you. You build relationship. God will take care of the rest. Love never fails and it brings great rewards. So if you love, it'll bring the rewards.
Amen.
Let's give him praise.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Redeeming the Time with Carol Marie. We'd like to encourage you to visit annasgate.org for more information. We pray that this message has been a blessing to you.
There is an awakening taking place, and it's exploding around the body